maintain and repair that system. There was a work session on 11/17 of 2025 regarding Lucas Ditch, and just want to state that I'm disappointed that since I had come before the council and had worked with city staff extensively before that time, that I was not notified that that was going to be on the agenda. Work sessions are open to the public. I realize I wouldn't be able to have comment, but I think I should have at least been informed so I could have been at that meeting. Regarding Mr. Buchanan's proposal, I personally have many questions I would like to have addressed regarding the estimate of cost to maintain the detention pond portion of Lucas Ditch that passed through the wetland. His proposal also seems to expand the scope of the project from just our wetland to the entire ditch from the start of south side of Highway 22 to the confluence of Lucas Ditch with Mill Creek. Will the same offer that's been made to us be made to all those other homeowners? I was informed the city cannot complete work on private property, and yet the city trapped beavers and other animals and worked on property owned by the retirement community on the west side of 3rd Street. Mrs. Hadjick's email sent April 20th implies bids from contractors. Who's going to pay the contractors? It would seem that the city can work on private property. Lastly, I'd like to state that in the information that you were given by Mrs. Hadjick today, my name is misspelled. It's as Stephen. Anything having to do with Lucas Ditch and the village of Sylvan Springs, and it has that spelling, you can probably be assured it's me.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Denise Bush. You want to wait? Okay. We'll wait. With that, we'll move on to consent agenda from April 6th. Regular city council minutes. What does council like to do?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Sims.
make a motion to approve the consent agenda as published.
I second.
Okay, there's a motion, a second to approve consent agenda as submitted. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Any presentations tonight, Julia? Public hearing, there are none. Moves us down to general business. Resolution number 26-009, approving an extension for the property tax exemption for the Santiam Heritage Foundation. Julia?
Thank you. In front of you is a resolution to extend the tax exemption for the Santiam Heritage Foundation, also known as the Brown House. They received their initial extension or their initial waiver in 2006. It was supposed to be 10 years. It didn't come back. They recently were informed by the county that their tax exemption status would expire, I think, at the end of April or May, March, sometime very soon, and that they needed to get an extension if they wanted to maintain their tax exempt status. So what's in front of you is essentially a staff report that would do that. We did look at the ORS that provides the parameters for issuing the tax exempt status, and in your staff report, I'm sorry, somebody's calling, I'm trying to hang up. In your staff report, it highlights the sections that staff believes they meet that criteria: preserving historic sites, promoting the reservation of land for public parks, and affect any other factors relevant to the general welfare of preserving the current use of the property. It has been a tax exempt for quite some time, so we don't have the assessed value information, but we have the real market value information, and using a similar formula to how we know the assessed value works in other areas. I estimated that the assessed value would be roughly $296,000, and if that were the case, the city tax would be about $1,444 a year, and we haven't had that revenue in 20 years, and I think that we will be able to continue to manage without that if council chooses to pass this resolution. Happy to answer any questions, and there are folks from the Brown House here that I'm sure would be happy to answer questions as well.
Okay, Okay, thank you. It's an opportunity for public comment on this agenda item. Okay, council discussion.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Patty.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I didn't realize actually that we were doing this for the Brown House, and I was happy to see that, and I'm happy to see it continue. And that's all I was going to say.
Okay. Anybody else? I guess I have a question. And I appreciate the transparency on this, but on the page 204, it talks about the property use. They're making a declaration that they have a lease as of April 1st for, looks like a business. Was there a business operating in this when they got the tax deferral the first time?
I do not believe there was, and I know that that was a question that they might have for the tax assessor's office as well. I don't know if anybody is able to come up and speak to that. I'm looking at Wendy Stone. Because it might be that a portion of the house could be assessed, and I don't know if you've gotten information on that.
Yeah, that's why I appreciate the transparency, like I said, but that begs the question for me, so that's why I was asking. Go ahead, Wendy.
My name is Wendy Stone. I'm the president of the Sandy M. Heritage Foundation. In 2006, when the first exemption was granted, the house was not in any shape for us to even hold events, let alone lease anything out to a business. The only reason we're able to at this point is because we just finished the second floor finally. Took us 25 years, but we did it. We did it without going into debt. I don't know if that will play on it. I certainly have had some of those same questions when we got the information from Marion County. And I, other than tell you that she's going to start, it's a pediatric counseling business that is a woman that is in the Salem Kaiser School District right now as a counselor, has just gotten, I believe it's her master's degree, and is branching out. I don't even remember if she's told us if she's going to continue with the school in addition to the private business, but it is going to be pediatric counseling. The name of the business that she's selected is Tulip Tree Pediatric Counseling. It will be put on the sign that we have erected after getting a permit from the city to do so, because we're on a corner, we get to, on the High Street side. Other than that, I can't shed any light on, I can tell you why we weren't leasing the house in 2006 and why we are now.
Yeah. Fair enough. Thank you. I just want to make sure it doesn't change the.
Fair question.
Yeah.
And I'll also add, my understanding is that they're leasing this, the upstairs. They're hoping to lease offices upstairs, and that is essentially helping them fund what they need to fund. So as she was talking, I was thinking it's not unlike, a coffee shop in a museum, that's helping to go back to that. So I don't know, they're not making money off of, they're not making a profit off of the operation of the entire Brown House.
And the other thing I'll mention is none of the board of directors gets any financial gain from this. We're a nonprofit. The board of trustees is all volunteers. We have no paid staff. What we will be using the money for is upkeep of the house so that it doesn't fall into disrepair again and look like it did 25 years ago when we started this whole process.
Yep. Okay. Go ahead, Steve. Sure, Steve.
Sorry. We want people at home that are watching to be able to hear you.
Sure.
Steve Poison. I live at 1750 East Pine Street, and I'm the vice president of Santiam Heritage Foundation. The one thing I wanted to add was we researched what effect the rental has on our nonprofit status. And according to the IRS code, nonprofits are allowed to rent real property without affecting their nonprofit status. Real property defined as space, offices, land, whatever. So I think it keeps us in the same ballpark.
Great.
One more thing I'd like to add. We will still make the house available for private events. We will continue to have events ourselves that we hold for the community, like the series that we're doing right now, which is the History Talks that we got grants for. And as a result, we are offering to the community for free. Anyone can come and listen to those, and it's a collaboration between us and 8 other historical area organizations. We've got people from SIO and Silverton and Mill City and Almsville and Turner and Sublimity, and I've probably missed one, Jefferson, that are coming in and once a month roughly doing a talk of their choice, and then they get part of the grant monies that we were given. So it's those kinds of activities will continue on the first floor. This is just the second floor that we're leasing.
Okay. Thank you, Wendy.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Carey, go ahead.
Wendy and Steve, I want to say from me to you guys, I appreciate your compassion for this and your steadfastness to keep this going. I was in the house 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, when you took Amy and I on a tour, and I'm excited to see what's happening now. But I appreciate the drive that you guys have to make it what it is.
You should come see the upstairs floors because we can still show them. They're like 123-year-old brand new floors. Beautiful. Thank you.
All right, council, continue discussion. That should lead to a decision.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Hort.
I move to adopt resolution number 26-009 authorizing extension of the tax exempt status for the Santiam Heritage Foundation.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 26-009, approving an extension of the property tax exemption for the Santiam Heritage Foundation. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0. Next item on our agenda is Mill Creek property lease. Julia?
Thank you. This was requested, I think at the last meeting or one of the more recent meetings, to have a discussion of the lease of the teen center, which I'm referring to it as the Mill Creek property lease. In your packet, you've got a copy of the existing lease with basically information. So it's really for you to have the conversation. I did outline some basic information. The current lease is $12 per year or $1 a month. The tenant is responsible for the interior maintenance and the city is responsible for exterior maintenance. Over the past year, that actually has resulted in quite a bit of incurred costs to the city, about $1,500 a month. So that's something that maybe if we are talking about fee changes, that might be something we want to talk about, but it's also within your purview to provide subsidies for things that you feel are of value to the community. Some policy questions that if you wanted to have them in the course of this conversation is just how the city wants to continue using the property or use the property differently. If you wanted to continue to use it for a teen center, what level of support you would want to have, what kind of model would you want to see, if anything different. And so just kind of outlining that for council if you want to have those discussions, but I'll just leave it to you at this point.
Okay, thanks, Councilor Hort. Go
Mr.
ahead.
Mayor, I apologize. Before we start, I need to declare that I had a conversation with Denise Bush about the teen center, just about like what's going on with the teen center and where they're at and how things might be able to move forward. So
Okay.
I just wanted to declare that.
It's nice, just a discussion, so there is no decision making tonight.
Fair enough.
Before I go to council, I'm an opportunity for public comment, and I know Denise signed up. So Denise, come on up if you want.
Hello. So I'm Denise Bush, 1435 Highland Drive. I have been involved with the Teen Center since before the Teen Center opened. I think I'm the last person actually that's still somewhat involved from that era. But first, I just want to thank you guys for your support of it. I didn't realize about the expense that's out there. You know, there's been kind of some rough last few years. I've been involved kind of on and off. The main concern that I think has been noticed there is that we're not seeing a lot of progression with the teen center and what it offers. I know that things are talked about. There's been a lot of community support, volunteers come and go. We were approached probably about a year and a half ago by a company, a nonprofit called Valor Mentoring. They actually run some teen facilities in Kaiser, and they were already out here having some conversations. I met Tim Davis at Rotary, and just bells started going off, and so had a lot of conversation. I think you guys have learned a little bit about Valor Mentoring, and I just truly feel that might be a direction we need to start looking. I mean, I know that you can't control the business that's in your building, but there is a partnership there with you guys, and there is a certain expectation. And I just don't feel that this community can support that anymore. The current board's very motivated. They have some existing board members that have been there. They have some new ones. I know I've been there. You get excited, but there's just so much you can do. We're limited on space. One thing that Valor would bring in is they proposed a transition. They're not really into partnerships, but they are offering to do that for us. So they're going to start coming in. He announced publicly at Rotary last week that they're going to start coming in once a week and also into the schools starting in the fall and start building and just getting familiar. That location is not ideal. He would be looking at moving the teen center to something closer to town, especially something closer to the schools. They're set up to be community based. He would probably in this area do what he did at the Kaiser Rec, and it would be probably like a coffee based meeting spot. So the community can go in and have meetings for free. You can order coffee. Any money that they bring in goes right back into supporting what's there. So I just wanted to show that. I know, you know, the lease is on an auto rotate right now or auto renew. And I just think I truly strongly feel that it's time to really look at that and just maybe some options you may have.
Okay.
Look at that.
Look at that.
You are.
Thanks, Denise.
Sorry, I didn't give you the opportunity.
Yep. Julia, was anybody on the board of the Teen Center aware of the meeting tonight or the topic?
I did not personally invite them,
Okay.
no.
All right. Council, what do you want to talk about on this? I will tell you, just in full disclosure, I've also had a discussion with both Tricia and Tim at Valor Mentoring. I talked to Tricia on last week at the Sandy Am gathering at the hospital, and it sounds like they are trying to work collaboratively. So just throwing that out there for council for awareness. Councilor Sims, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I've actually had some discussions with Denise Bush and Tim at Valor Mentoring, and I tried to go to the board meeting for the teen center this month, but it was a closed meeting, so I wasn't able to attend. But I think the teen center did need to move forward as far as with what they do for the kids. I think it's a really good program, and I would like to see it continued. And getting Valor Mentoring in there one day a week, I think, is a pretty big move forward. I think that's a step in the right direction. So that I do like to see. I would like to see, I do volunteer at the teen center, so I see what goes on there, and I would like to see, more mentoring and, more educational type of stuff. They play a lot of games and play on the phone and play on the computers and eat a lot. That's kind of what happens at the teen center right now. So I think that would be a good move in the right direction as far as, the mentoring piece and the education piece that could maybe help them out in the future. So I think it's a good start. I do like, I am happy to see that. So that's good.
Councilor Carey.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to piggyback on what Steve had to say. We met with the Teen Center board, handful of us, and shortly after that, Steve and I went down and met with Tim at Valor. And I think what the vision they have compared to what the vision we have here, we're stuck. And we need to see something happen. We can't stay status quo. And we need something for these kids. We need some excitement for these kids. And the mentoring part's huge. And I think the closer they get to the city, the more benefits. It benefits the city and the schools better than being off Kindle. So I'm totally in favor of them coming out at least once a week.
Okay. Anybody else? So, Julia, maybe we should move this to another future agenda item at some point.
Yes, this was on the agenda because council wanted it on the agenda. If council doesn't want to provide any direction to staff, then we can not move it forward until you want it back on, or we can move it to a specific date.
Sure. I think it's important to have a designated date and time, especially since we're talking about the actual renewal or whatnot of the contract, of the lease. So what would council?
I would like to have somebody from our existing teen center.
Do we have room to put on the next month agenda? What out of the 2 months, out of the two meetings?
I will look. I'm sure we have. Some are full, some aren't. So if we shoot for some time within the next 2 months, and I'll find a meeting on that, or do you want it next meeting to have a conversation?
It's up to council. What would y'all like to do, David?
Sorry, I just had a clarifying question. I heard somebody say something about Valor coming to town one day a week. Would they be in the teen center? Is that what that would look like?
That's my understanding, is that they're coming into the teen center once a week. And I guess I need direction. What if council wants to discuss the lease and potentially having others come in as a teen center? I think there needs to be a more thorough process of sort of discussing and determining what that looks like. Yep. So we can absolutely continue this conversation, but I'm not clear on what exactly the conversation is.
I personally would be in favor of inviting Tim with Valor Mentoring and then inviting the existing organization and hearing what they have to present as far as their visions and whether or not that would be compatible with the current existing facility.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Ort.
I have a clarifying question is the purpose of this is are we deciding if we're gonna continue the lease with the current?
Well, that's again, council wanted to have this on the agenda, so I don't know. I think that is part of the question: is do we want to continue the lease?
Sure. I think right now they're at a crossroads with both people offering to help come in here. Mm-hmm. I think you need clarification as far as who's doing what, who's going to run the facility, and who eventually would be signing the lease. So however council wants to address it that way, I think that's the most important. I think Councilor Patty's right. So we've had multiple interactions with both of those the board there, and then with Tim. Let's get them together and have a discussion so we get it all laid out on the table and see what's what.
And may I suggest a work session?
Yeah, I was going to say, does it look like a work session?
Yep.
We can talk
and then
about
scheduling it with a time that works for all parties.
Yep. Well, let's do that. We can put that on the agenda. That'd be on the calendar. That'd be great.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor
Yeah, I agree with Councilor Patty on I would like to see the current board and Tim from Valor Mentoring get with us to discuss this issue. Yep. But also on the other side of that, if they're going to progress and move forward with some of the things we think they should be moving towards, like the mentoring piece and maybe some adult educating piece, that sort of thing. I would like to see how that develops over the next few months. So a work session would be
Great.
beneficial, I think, too.
So work session it is. Julia, if you
Okay.
could find that. Thank you. That moves us on to the Lucas Ditch update. Barry, or are you going to, Julia's going to take it?
Well, I think I'm going to start, but I'm going to make him
Okay.
come up so that he's in the hot seat too. There, yeah, over there. At first, I want to apologize. I did create a timeline that referred to it as Sylvan Springs Village at Sylvan Springs. Very, very sorry, and I will make sure that the name is spelled correctly. I apologize for that as well. So I handed out before this evening. I emailed you earlier, and I also emailed Mr. Falconer and Mr. Spangler, as well as Mr. Santani, who's back there as well, a copy of the timeline and the materials that were handed out to council at the November work session, and then also to representatives from the Village at Sylvan Springs HOA in November. So the council did receive a presentation from the Village at Sylvan Springs HOA back in June of 2025. And, you know, as shown in the timeline, there was some back and forth, some information gathered. And also at that time, there was also an issue with the overall flow of Lucas Ditch, beaver issues, stormwater issues, that we were also working on addressing. But I guess the highlight that I wanted to point out for the council, as well as for those in the audience, is that when we met with the council in November, Barry presented his packet of information and a proposal for some cost sharing that would allow us to take over the maintenance of their facility. And the council said, that sounds like a great proposal. Go talk to them and see what they think. And that's what he did. And then we had not gotten a response. And it sounds like maybe there was some confusion in terms of like they were expecting council to formally respond to the request. So that's kind of where we're at, is that there's been a lot that's been going on. Barry prepared a lot of detailed analysis and can provide any information you have on this. We had a proposal that would allow us to incrementally take over the maintenance of that facility, and we haven't heard a response back as far as whether or not they were interested or whether or not additional negotiation or conversation needed to happen. So I'm glad that they're here, and that's kind of where we're at. I'm happy to answer any questions or defer to Barry to answer any questions on the status of that.
Anybody? I guess I'll start. I think Mr. Spangler laid it out for me. I want to make sure that I understand what he was asking. So it sounds like to me that two issues have been conflated into one. Is the Lucas Ditch separate from the homeowners association request?
I will, in Barry's information, I mean, they are one, but they also were evaluated separately. I believe that the fiscal impact and the proposal for the phased in takeover was just for their facility, not the overall maintenance of the Lucas Ditch.
Okay.
Barry, can you confirm or deny?
That is correct. The two pieces were looked at independently. The cost associated with the excuse me, the stormwater control basin is separate from the overall cost and associated with Lucas Ditch. In actual fact, in the report that's been presented to both the work session and to the homeowners association, only included costs associated with the taking over of the stormwater facility. The prices for the Lucas Ditch have been discussed with council separately and additionally over and above the report.
And just to reiterate, the proposal from Barry for the cost phase-in was based on information obtained from the HOA on what they had been spending both in labor as well as true, true costs. And it was roughly $30,000 a year. And that's where he got to, following a biennial budget, at 100%, 76,000, and then slowly, incrementally over a 6-year period, transitioning down, or six, I guess not a 6-year period, a 12-year period, because it's a biennial, transitioning down so that they're paying nothing and we're taking, on more. And I think part of that is over that period of time, we'll be doing utility rate updates and stormwater master plan updates, and there will be more information that we'll know and be able to fold into our operations.
Oh, sorry. I should not have had that drink before I start. That is correct, Julie.
I have a question, and this is just gee whiz. Why are we yanking raccoons out of there? What's going on with that? I thought it was just the beavers and the nutria that we're worried about.
We unfortunately caught one raccoon in our traps when we were doing the beaver trapping. One raccoon got into the trap, and as such, it was dispatched so that we could actually get it out of the trap. It was not intentional.
So, Barry, I wasn't at the meeting that you went to the neighborhood. You presented them with a solution to their presentation?
I presented the same presentation to the homeowners association as I presented to you guys at the workshop, at the council workshop, as directed.
Okay, so you left that meeting hoping that they were going to give you a response to that presentation?
That was the intention. That's the intention, understanding that I left, that they were going to give us a response,
Okay.
evaluate it at their next homeowners meeting and come back to us and discuss it. I have not heard a thing.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilor.
Casey, did you have more you wanted to add along with your email? That's what I'm kind of waiting for right there. Okay, I'm waiting for that. That's what I'm impatient for.
I got you. Public comments coming up in a minute. Any other questions for staff before we move on to public comment? I just want to make sure that I understand that there's two distinct issues here, and then they're not being conflated together.
I can reassure you, Mayor and Councillor, that the two issues are not conflated together in terms of funds, but they are in actual fact inextricably linked together because of the operations of the ditch and the operation of the detention basin running into the ditch.
Correct. Because the log jam, if you will, for lack of a better term, is going to back up into their ponds that are behind that.
No.
It won't.
No, it does not back up into their ponds. The blockages that have occurred in the Lucas Ditch do form backwater. There is no question about that. But they are not controlling the outlet from their pond.
But the beavers that are in their ponds could be having the same effect that the Lucas Ditch has.
That is possible, yes. But I don't know of beavers actually in their pond or associated with their outlet.
Prior to your arrival, that was the case. Okay. Anybody else? Council?
Mr. Mayor.
Sims.
Okay, Barry. So I'm trying to figure out where are we at right now? So we have a proposal, and we're still discussing this proposal with the village at Sylvan Springs, or I'm just confused. I didn't have. I mean, we got this today, so I really didn't have a chance to look through it very carefully. But
I'll respond. So yes, so the request was for a status update to council. So we're giving you a status update of kind of what's been happening with the conversation. In November, Barry presented what he presented to council in November, which was a proposal, and we have not heard back from them on that. So we're not discussing it because there hasn't been discussion. We're happy to have conversation about that. The original plan after that work session was that we were going to hear from them. If there was agreement, then we would bring forward an agreement to council at some point in the future, but so we haven't drafted that yet. So that's kind of, that's where we're at. I too am curious to see what Casey has to say, to see if we're able to move forward, if we're still having conversation, or where we're at.
All right.
Thanks, Julie.
Anybody else, council? All right. Opportunity for public comment. Casey? I'm sure you have something to say.
At the January, I believe it was January 15th, public meeting that Barry put on, I informed him at that time that the proposal that he gave to us, I was going to take a back seat to that until he figured out the entire ownership issue. And he said that the attorney was looking into that. That's why there's been a big pause on this. We've been waiting to hear for that. At the last meeting, I believe it was last week, 2 weeks ago, Barry mentioned that we're going to have a large meeting with all the state agencies, federal agencies, what have you. At that point, I got to thinking, I would really like this proposal off my plate when that time comes. Because I do feel that there are two separate issues going on here. The beaver issue came up after our proposal. It is directly involved with this whole thing, but was not our proposal. It was not our complete proposal. It was not just the stormwater management facility. It was the property behind the houses on the north side of Sunrise, all the way through the wetlands. So while the stormwater facility is an important issue for the city to consider, it's not the only issue. And the numbers we highly dispute. Yes, I personally have put a lot of free work into there, along with other people. As some of you know, a lot of that work was a direct result from previous public work director that caused us a lot of trouble out there. The water's flowing fine now. There is no issue out there now that the beaver dam has been removed further down. There's a lot of things I could say. I feel I don't want to get into any type of anything that makes it sound like a personal attack. I have no personal hard feelings towards Julia or Barry. I know they have a very important job, and this is a very convoluted situation. But I do feel that this has gotten way overanalyzed for our request. And if we need to put it on the actual agenda so that myself and Steve could come back to answer more direct questions from you, since you did just get this information this afternoon that we were going to discuss this, I'd be happy to come back at any time with that.
Okay, thanks, Casey. Anybody else? All right. Go ahead, Steve, come on up.
Stephen Spangler, 838 Sunrise Drive. The statements in Julia's document, Sylvan Estates Stormwater System, it's the top water level. This is on the second page on the back. There is some confusion as to what happens when Lucas Ditch is filling with water and the pond is filling with water. And I think that it needs to be looked at as the total flow rather than just looking at water flowing. Because if the ditch is empty, if Lucas Ditch is empty and water is simply flowing into the detention pond, the water can exit the detention pond more rapidly than if Lucas Ditch is full of water already. So again, it wasn't really designed properly. So if Lucas Ditch is full of water, but still flowing because of beaver dams downstream, then the pond fills up higher than it would, and you can reach the point that it tops the berm, which can then cause serious problems, damages, and flooding downstream. That's what I believe we're all trying to avoid and trying to address for any future issues where there are major storms. But that's what you have to keep in mind. Sometimes it's mentioned, well, if the water's flowing, everything's okay. That's not necessarily the case, because if the ditch is full, the water cannot flow at the rate that it would if it were lower. So that's one. With Mr. Buchanan's proposal, I want to state I am currently not a member of the board, neither is Casey. The people you really want to deal with are the board members. I tried to get them to come here tonight, and unfortunately they didn't. I'm disappointed in that. But there was a meeting where I was a board member held at my house, and that is where Mr. Buchanan presented his proposal. We, as Homeowners Association, had a meeting subsequent to that on December 10th. At that meeting, I'm not speaking as a board member now, I'm just speaking as a person who was at the meeting and who was a board member at the time. At that meeting, everyone present felt that the 37 homeowners cannot afford $250,000 approximately over that time period. You're talking a significant financial impact to those 37 homeowners. It's not just a doubling of what the dues are. So the feeling was that we couldn't afford it. I would like to see more conversations with Mr. Buchanan because I have some questions in regards to his proposal as to the costs. I presented the information to him. I gathered it and presented it on what our costs as the HOA were to maintain that. Okay. And there's quite a discrepancy. So if there's some way that we could have a meeting with Mr. Buchanan or with someone to address those issues, it might help to come to a common ground. Okay. Where maybe we could say, we feel that this is a more appropriate figure. Yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. All right.
Mr. Mayor.
Go on up. Another public comment.
Mr. Mayor.
Hi.
Afternoon.
Tricia Zuniga, 923 Sunrise Drive. I'm currently one of the board members, and I am present, and I also serve as the treasurer for the HOA. And so, as Steve mentioned, our board neighborhood consists of 37 homes, many of which are occupied by retirees and middle-income households. We are a very small HOA with limited financial capacity, and we work hard to maintain the affordability for our residents. After carefully reviewing the proposed cost of approximately $256,000 over the time of 8 years, we must respectfully share that this amount is beyond what our HOA can reasonably absorb. When distributed across our homeowners, this would represent a significant financial burden that many in our community could not be able to handle. Although we remain committed to working collaboratively with the city to find a solution that addresses the maintenance and long-term stewardship with the wetland and the detention pond, our goal is to ensure that the area is properly managed in a way that supports both environmental needs and the surrounding community. We are open to continued discussions, and we would greatly appreciate exploring alternative options, whether that includes phased operations other than the one submitted, shared responsibility models, possibly grant opportunities, and other creative solutions that may be more financially feasible for a neighborhood our size. We just can't really afford that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. So Several revelations tonight.
May I ask one
Yeah,
question?
go ahead,
please?
Council Carey.
Looking back on this August or September 2nd, 25, there's a statement down on the bottom that says, I've contacted Marion County regarding the pond outlet wall and I'm waiting for confirmation. Has there been any confirmation from Marion County at all over this time?
We've spoken to Marion County 2 or 3 times, and they are intending to come to the next meeting that I talked to Casey about in May. There is no definitive answer about the wall being correctly operated or not. The county has, in actual fact, not been able to find the construction drawings as it stands at this point in time. Or should I say, they might have found them, but I haven't got them as yet.
And also, while we're trying to keep the issues separate, even in the course of conversation, they're not. You know, the flow of Lucas Ditch is intricately connected to the stormwater facility. So Barry is doing a lot to bring the different parties together and trying to manage that issue. And there's the issue of a private stormwater facility that unfortunately is the responsibility of 37 homes that is not currently part of the city's rate schedule or responsibility. And the request to council is, do we take that over? That is not something that we can just take over without a financial impact, and that's why we were proposing a phase-in. Absolutely, I think we can have additional conversations with the parties to see if there's different ways to get there, to get that cost down. But ultimately, at the end of the day, right now, that's their responsibility. And I think they got a bad deal. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that it's not, it doesn't seem fair, but it's not ours. And I think what we're trying to do is help identify a path to get them out of that responsibility in a way that isn't going to drastically impact the finances of the city right now and the ratepayers that we built our rates upon or based on.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
I've been waiting for you guys to, in actual fact, come and talk to me. So the door is open. I am more than happy to talk about the overall proposal, what alternatives can be looked at, and how we can move forward to, in actual fact, solve this problem. Without your input or you coming to us, unfortunately, I can't do anything at this point in time.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Ort.
It was mentioned that the 37 homes in the HOA pay a fee right now. For
they pay
services.
the stormwater fee as everybody else does to us.
So it's just the stormwater fee.
That is correct.
It's not.
There's no additional fee for their system. They internally pay for their system by volunteerism or bringing in contractors to operate their system.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I thought you were saying that they pay an additional fee.
I think in their minds they do because they pay to maintain the facility and they pay our stormwater fee.
Sure. Okay. And then another question. It was also mentioned that the stormwater facility itself was not made correctly. Is that a fair assertion?
That's a statement.
That's a statement?
And I tend to agree with their statement.
Okay.
But I'm not going to criticize the design.
Who was the one who...
The contractor. It was a contractor.
The contractor, but who signs off on that?
The developer of the property had that designed.
Way back.
The city approved it, and it was installed as per the design that was initially put together. But I will agree with them. I believe the design is problematic. and I do have ideas for solutions on how to remedy that problem, but it's expensive. It's a capital project that we would have to implement.
Are there any opportunities for us to look even like at the county level or at the state level for some funding for something like that so we can?
I believe there is, yes, and that's something that I'll be more than happy to talk to the association about.
That could solve some issues, but it doesn't solve the problem of them wanting the city to take it over. That's going to incur some costs regardless of whether or not we're able to get grants to help bring it up to a better condition.
The grants would, sorry, Julia, the grants would pay for capital works, but the grants won't pay for maintenance, ongoing operations and maintenance.
Okay, I have a question about that too, because in the third, sorry, is it okay?
Go ahead.
Okay, in the third phase of, oh goodness, Phillip Estates, it's like, it was mentioned that they have green spaces that are actually like, I don't know, they're not actual green spaces. They're water retention areas, I guess, green spaces, and then that we are eventually going to take those over. How do we I feel like we're in the same situation. How do we maintain those? Or who's paying for that maintenance then? Like it's a similar situation. And if we're gonna take on Phillip Estates,
it's the way the contracts are set up initially, the way the agreements are actually under the development agreement with the city. This particular developer, unfortunately, and I agree, it's an unfair process. The developer, in actual fact, took on themselves that they would have the internal homeowners look after and maintain the detention facility. In the Phillips estate, that's being transferred to the city once the project is in actual fact complete under the development agreement.
but are they giving us more money in order to do that?
Well, the homeowners will be paying into the stormwater fees that would then be going into the maintenance, and there would be, I'm sure there will be some sort of a phased development agreement maintenance where they have to maintain it for a certain amount of time. And then we will evaluate our rates and fees. The idea, again, I think Barry and I are both on the same page that the city, we believe, should be responsible for maintaining all of the stormwater facilities in the city. The challenge is right now, we don't have the funding to take over maintenance of this private stormwater facility, and we just want a way to phase it in. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Can I ask a clarifying question about that though? So you're saying that the sewer rates will pay for
Stormwater.
Excuse me,
Rates.
I apologize. The stormwater rates will pay for the detention ponds over. I'm talking about Phillip Estates over here. I feel like you're gonna be coming into the same situation. We're gonna have just a handful of houses that are gonna now be in charge of this whole stormwater area for the entire area, similar to what we have over on the other side of town. And then you're gonna ask them to pay another $250,000 to
So with Phillips,
bring it
what
in?
we're envisioning is that going forward, there wouldn't be these private stormwater facilities. And as development occurs, those homeowners are just paying the stormwater fee, and the rates in the citywide stormwater fee are such that it's paying for the operation and maintenance of the stormwater facilities that exist and or are created over time. I think that's where we want to get to. Right now, we're in this transition period where we have this private stormwater facility that we don't have the ability to just take over maintenance without an impact on the existing stormwater ratepayers. That's why we want to phase it in over time so that we can not have a sudden increase for the existing ratepayers to have to take on the responsibility of the maintenance of this private storm facility.
It's all about planning. So unfortunately, they had a bad grandfather. And the grandfather that approved that put him in a bad bind. And right now, the step that we're taking this place going forward with development, we're trying to avoid this very issue.
That's correct.
Are you done? Clarifying question?
Sure.
Councilor Sims?
Mr. Mayor. I think this is more for the HOA or the residents, this question. So how are you paying for the repairs for for the stormwater facility? Is it through your HOA dues, or I'm just trying to get a idea what the cost is for, yeah, please. That'd be great.
So that's actually one of my questions to Barry. To my knowledge, I've been there for 10 years. Damien's been there much longer. We've spent very little money in maintenance. But in the email that I spoke of, I don't know if it's and I'm not trying to begrudge anybody, but to me, it's not a facility. It's a hole in the ground. There's no moving parts. There's nothing. We don't maintain it other than we go out and make sure the weeds don't get overgrown, and we make sure that the grass is not bound up next to the weir, the concrete structure that's permanent. That's it. So there is no maintenance cost. One time about 6 years ago, we did throw a little bit of gravel in there. That's it. That's all we've done.
So I'll say from an engineering standpoint, from a public facility standpoint, it's a facility. I understand what you're saying, but it's a facility. And I think that the costs that Barry had, which is page 14 to 17 of the Lucas Ditch report and the table from 4.34, the annualized cost summary, I think he took that from information that he got from the HOA.
There was two things.
Okay, go ahead and explain.
There was the HOA input, and there was also the city had actually done work itself in the facility, and there was also volunteer time that I transferred to actual work time. We don't volunteer. The city, in actual fact, gets paid for its work, and I also estimated the amount of work that it. No disrespect to you guys now, would be done to, in actual fact, maintain the facility in a good working order. I should say I should go back and look at the numbers and make sure that they're all correct. There's no problem with that. I'm prepared to work with you guys to do that. That's not an issue. But that's where the numbers came from. It was a combination of what the Homeowners Association had paid out, what they were doing as far as volunteerism was concerned, and what we had put into it as capital work, and what I estimated it would cost to, in actual fact, maintain it in good working order from our perspective.
So part of those volunteer hours were also, as whoever came on that tour, when we started down at Santiam Park and walked all the way down, there was a spot there that the village of Silver Springs took care of all the way over to our property. We found out that, hey, that's not our property. That's that Baumhoffner. That's a whole other issue. But we were taken care of. So our volunteer hours were included in that we did that. The volunteer hours, I feel, were also a culmination of, I'm a journeyman electrician. I go out and work all day. Once every 2 weeks, I go out there and do some landscaping, do some yard trimming. And I shouldn't even say 2 weeks. It's probably less than that. Maybe once every few months. And it's more of a job, just like any maintenance, like on your car. If I feel strongly that if the city were to take it over, and I agree that it is a financial something, it's going to cost the city more for sure. But if we maintain it, mow it every couple weeks in the summertime, keep the trees down, the HOA has spent $3,000 to $4,000, and Trish might be able to speak a little bit closer on that number, but $3,000 to $4,000 a year for 15 years. That's for entire maintenance, yard maintenance, including Fern Ridge Drive.
Yeah, I just did the numbers for the first 2 years. For 37 homes, $76,000 bill, that'd be $2,054 each over 2-year period. So that's a pretty substantial
Yeah.
amount for the HOA.
And like I said, our dues are $250 a year per household,
Right.
which covers all of our fees.
I think there's been an offer from the city and to review this some further and make sure everyone's looking at the same apples to orange comparison. And I think maybe a work session's in order on this. That way we can have these
Yeah.
folks join us. Council can be in a room and focus on this topic solely.
Yes, and I would actually propose, I was going to suggest that we have a meeting, a working meeting with staff and the HOA just to understand the numbers, and then we can come back with a work session
Especially,
to
agreed.
discuss it more.
Especially since the composition of the HOA has changed. So
If I could get a list of the HOA, the current HOA board, and anybody else that would be interested in, being part of a meeting, that would be really helpful.
Councilor.
I just wanted to add to that. I'd love to see, I know we talked about it, but in that meeting, some collaboration with the city on helping the HOA find opportunities to alleviate some of this, either all of it, or at least some of it. I think that there's a way to get to yes that doesn't burden 37 homes that are actually taking care of a system that really helps the entire city, including 200 homes surrounding them. More than 200 homes surrounding them.
In all fairness, I agree with you, Jordan.
Yeah.
That in all fairness,
I just don't. It doesn't sit well to me to say well, you got a bad deal. It doesn't sit well to me. If we're a community, I'd really like. I get it. I know you're where you're coming from, but so I'm not saying we should accept all the burden. I just want to figure out how we can
mitigate
And,
it.
and we'll work on that. I think the other part though is that we don't want to say, okay, I don't know what that would look like to everybody's bill if we were to, we need to look at it a little bit more closely and see, okay, what kind of increase does that mean to the stormwater rates? Because not everybody else is going to want to chip in necessarily either. If it's a big number, if it's a penny, then let's talk about it.
We have our community, grant. We get grants from the county all the time. There's money. I feel like there should be money out there that we can try to utilize. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that we burden the entire system.
Yep.
Seriously, we'll
Thank
look
you.
for it.
That's all I'm asking.
I have one more request.
Okay.
I don't remember if it was you, Jordan. Somebody asked a little bit ago, who signed off on this? When I got involved with this 8 years ago, that was the direct question that I asked Public Works at that time. I got less than a good answer. Barry, if you could find that out, I don't know if that's going to change anything, but I agree that it was not built correctly, and the plans that I saw were not complete. There was supposed to be a path, walking bridges, and that was my question too, is who signed off on this and made it our problem? I was told that information was lost in City Hall. That's just the information I got.
I will look. At
Thank
the
you.
moment, I can't answer the question.
And I didn't expect an answer. It just information. That's where we stood at some point when Jordan asked that question. I asked that. Yeah.
There is a cascading effect, though, in your case, that it was a 3-stage development and it went from basically 200 properties to 37 properties, 200 and something properties. I can't remember the number exactly, but it went from a 270 odd property stormwater system to a 37 property ownership issue. And I don't know how that happened.
Again, that was the question I asked because it didn't seem right.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we got stuck with a bad deal. Sometimes you get stuck with a bad deal with your predecessor.
All right. I appreciate everyone working towards some kind of discussion in the future and hopefully a resolution. So we will do that. Thanks, Casey. Appreciate it. All right. I'm going to move on from that one. And that leads us to communication from city staff. Julia?
And I actually have quite a bit, but a lot of it is other people. So I'm going to start with Howard. He's going to come up and talk to you about an initiative that we're going to be launching, I think, tomorrow.
All right. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, staff are excited to announce the Stayton's America 250 challenge tonight to celebrate both 250 years of America and also the community of Stayton. Starting tomorrow through June 30th, community members are invited to come together and give back through volunteering. So, the challenge is pretty simple. Contribute volunteer hours. Ideally, these are service hours that are above and beyond regular volunteering hours. So, like not meetings and not regular stuff like that. And I want to be precise here. So, the prizes that people get, the top volunteer with the most hours submitted will win a $50 gift card and also a spot on the city's 4th of July parade with a guest. You got to bring a guest too. And the volunteer who submits the greatest variety of volunteer opportunities will win a $50 gift card and, of course, bragging rights there as well. The poster in front of you includes a link to a webpage, and that's going to be live tomorrow, where folks can log their hours. And on their webpage, there's going to be a list of current volunteering opportunities. So at the moment, we've worked with community partners to put together around 20 really great opportunities. And it's broken out under like upcoming opportunities, longer term opportunities, and even ideas to create your own opportunity there as well. A couple opportunities that you're going to see include helping the City and Parks Board plant trees this Wednesday on Earth Day, a cleanup of historic Stayton downtown this Sunday, helping out at the Chamber Awards, and cleaning up a clothing closet at Sanium Head Start, signing up to do yard work for those in need with Sanium service integration, or helping out at the senior center with their annual rummage sale. So that's just a quick sampling, but there's around 20 that you'll see there tomorrow. So staff are excited to see Stayton come together for this challenge, and we're going to keep listing volunteer opportunities as we come across them. And we're hoping that the webpage becomes an important resource in the community to help drive civic engagement and hopefully at least throughout the duration of the campaign. So look out for communications tomorrow. If you know of any volunteer opportunities that are not listed, please let us know. And aside from that, April is also volunteer month. So just wanted to point that out. So in good alignment with our program here. And otherwise, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mayor. Councilor Carey.
Just real quick, this is an awesome idea. I wish I'd be here for the 4th of July this year, but I won't be. I'll be in Italy. But on the bottom down here, it says participants are encouraged to submit new service hours that go beyond regular volunteering activities. What's that?
Yeah, we wanted to ensure that the amount of hours that we're submitting to America 250. So once we get like a final number, we're going to submit that to America 250, like the national program. We just want to make sure that number is high quality. So we don't want like people to just do like dump hours into this. We want it to be like a meaningful reflection of Stayton's actual, I guess in a way, net new volunteering.
So it's not you volunteer when you come to council meetings, but we want you to do more.
Yes.
So that's the idea.
Councilor Ort.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the tree planting on Wednesday?
Yeah, for sure. It will be at 1:30, and just going off of memory, it's going to be at Community Center Park. It's going to be at Quail Run Park and Westtown Park. So I think the plan there is to plant between 2 and 3 trees at each park. and I think starting at Community Center Park. But we're going to publish all of that information tomorrow in case I got any of it wrong. But that's the idea. And it's also the park board is a part of it as well.
Great. Thanks, Howard.
Awesome. Thank you.
Wait, well, before you go, can you briefly talk about the heritage tour as well?
Oh, yes. So on April 29th, which I think is a Wednesday, Oregon Heritage, I don't remember the organization's name, but Oregon Heritage Society, perhaps. They're going to make a stop as part of a conference that they're having in Woodburn. So one of the activities is a tour of downtown Stayton. And that starts, I think, at 8 a.m., if I'm not mistaken. I can send that information out again.
I have
in case any of
8:30
those-
written down.
30.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, you're down for that. And basically what it is, it starts at Brown House, so a quick tour there, and then a quick tour up 3rd Avenue and across, and just to see all the great historical buildings in the city. It's I think around 3 hours long, and for council, if you guys want to attend, I'm sure that the participants there would love to have you guys there as well. Steve, you've signed up, you were mentioning, and then Brian, he's going to be providing, the mayor will be providing opening remarks as well.
Thank you. Next up is James, and he's going to give you an update. And then Gwen will be next if she wants to position herself.
I wanted to update you on a couple things, and this has been in the weekly reports that you've been getting, but just an opportunity for some feedback or discussion if you want. But the city is trying to form a partnership with Government Portfolio Advisors. This is a group that I've heard a couple presentations in my conferences for the Government Finance Officers Association. So most recently, this last March, they did a presentation and walked up to them after their presentation. And what they do is help governments invest their excess cash. So right now, all of our cash is in the LGIP, the Local Government Investment Pool, which is earning a very, very fair return right now, and we're happy with that. But we're anticipating that rate to go back to more normal, which is much lower than it is right now. So we're looking at opportunities to invest more long-term. The investments would be in bonds, and mostly treasury bonds with the U.S. government, very low risk historically. And so before we do that, we would have to get an adjustment to our investment policy. So GPA will help us rewrite that policy, and that would come before you for your approval before this could advance any further. So just giving you a heads up that investment policy change will be developed and come before you fairly soon. So any questions or concerns about that?
Mr. Mayor.
Goes Patty.
Yeah, thanks for presenting this to us. I appreciate it. I'm just kind of curious. I hear you saying long term. If we have a good rate of return on this current pool, why are we moving away from it?
Yeah, so historically, the LGIP has given a return of around 1%. Not great. Recently, it's at 4%, right around there, with rates as good as it's been. We anticipate that to go back down to more of a normal rate. But the LGIP has done what they can do. They're limited to investments of 18 months. So right now, the shorter term investments have been doing fairly well. But typically, longer term investments earn more than short term investments. And that's kind of the yield curve that is normal and is anticipated to happen in the near future. So secondly, we did an RFP for an auditing firm. We've been with Singer Lewack for, I think, 6 or 7 years now. And before that was Bull Carlisle Smith, which Singer Lewack bought. So we've been with the same auditing firm for about 10 years. And it's just good practice to change every now and again. So that's the reason why we did an RFP. We have no problems with Singer Lewack. They've done very well with us. But I wanted to do an RFP, and so we set up some criteria, some weights, how we were going to score it. We got 5 bids back, and I scored them in terms of minimum qualifications, and they all passed the minimums. So we had 5 qualified bids. A team of 3 of us scored them independently, and the top 2 scorers were Singer Lewack. They were one of the bidders, and a new firm to us called Aldridge. And so they both scored very similarly. We did some follow-up with Aldridge. I called the finance director from the city of Independence, who's used them for a number of years and is familiar with them. And she had very good things to say about them. And so no red flags were discovered. I should note that we're still in the 1-week protest period of an RFP. So we haven't formally signed anything yet, but Aldridge was chosen from our team. And so we're hoping to go forward with them fairly soon. So I wanted to let you guys know that, and that this would begin with the next audit, which would start next month, but it would be for the fiscal year that we're closing fairly soon.
Thanks, James.
And then if there's no questions for James.
I did have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Councilor.
Okay. Does it cost us more money and or manpower to switch firms? And is that accounted in how much it costs?
Well, I can give you an example that Singer Lewack came back with a bid a little bit lower than what we paid last year to them. So I think the cost-wise, it's a little better probably than what we paid this last year. In terms of man hours or work hours, it will be more the first year. Whenever you change auditors, there's going to be more work involved in getting to know them and seeing how they do things. So I do anticipate working more. But luckily, we didn't build a budget this year, so we have some energy to pour into that. And then year after year, it should get a little bit easier with the same auditor. Okay. So not quantifiable, really, but it's the kind of work that I'm more interested in hearing and working with them. Another set of eyes looking at us, asking a little bit different questions and helping us refine processes and things that maybe we weren't thinking about.
Okay, thank you.
Chief. Thanks, James.
Mayor, councilors, and staff, I just wanted to give a hiring update. So I know you met Sergeant Tillman, and he's out there doing well, and like his energy and like his direction and what he's interaction with our staff. And you've met Officer Hagan. He's now solo and covering his own shift. He's on a day shift. And then today, Officer Blicker had his first day. So he has some experience with Lynn County and has attended the academy. So that's a benefit to us. He'll be starting FTEP as soon as he gets through orientation and some of the basic skills training that we are required to do before we can put someone in uniform. Also part of our hiring push, we are attending Lynn Benton Community College Career Fair and Chemeketa Community College Career Fair. So we haven't done these in the past, but we're kind of excited, and we feel like even if it's not the push for a hiring currently, had we had some of these in the past with high school and college students, encouraging them to apply for us in the future, we know we're going to have future openings as well. So these are just kind of fun and exciting engagements that we're looking forward to. With it being Volunteer Appreciation Month, we just want to do a shout out to our 2 volunteers, Brian Leeper and Ginny Butler. They both do a fantastic job for us and put in a fair amount of hours for us. just wanted to talk about a recent case that was kind of in Facebook and crossed over a few different jurisdictions. So Friday, I believe it was, we got a report of a tire slashing. Someone called in and said that all 4 tires on their vehicle were slashed. Our officer immediately got some video. Our records person brought up some of the cameras that we have access to in the city, and between a still footage and some video, we were able to piece together a little bit of a timeline and match the person with a car. And then just some good intel working across a few different agencies matched up that this person was also then down in Scio area, Mill City, and Sublimity, and responsible for damage to several vehicles. Fun and an interesting case to put together through info sharing, really good reporting from the public. Before the shift was over, in our parking lot, we had Lynn County, Marion County, our agency, and the suspect all following up and clearing the cases. So it was a neat culmination of some good teamwork and really good public input as well that made that come to a good conclusion. Our Citizens Academy has completed its 3rd week and having a lot of fun with it, a lot of engagement, a lot of really great feedback. The group got to meet with our Chief Deputy District Attorney from the DA's office, who will be our future DA. Got to hear from dispatch, and last week dealt with patrol and investigations, and then this week we'll be dealing with use of force, and actually we'll have some demonstrations with the taser and the wrap. And so yeah, we've already had some good contributions from our participants on who should be the demo person, but it's honestly a neat atmosphere. Like, my hope of it is not only are we educating about what we do as a police department, but I've seen where this group of participants, they're becoming a much stronger bonded group. So there are people from our community that have different contributions, whether it's from the hospital or city council, staff, business owners. And so it's just a neat opportunity for them to be stronger, with city staff and with our police department, and then also educate about what we do, why we do, and all that good stuff. So far, we're having lots of fun, and we're going to be pushing out some social media about what we're doing and why we're doing that. And then some questions have come up in the last week, both at Citizens Academy and otherwise, about, I guess, partnerships and, hey, if we invited the police department to come to this, would you come? And absolutely, if it fits in our schedule, always our priority is shift coverage, but we love our partnerships. So if you've got something you want us to come to, whether it's a meeting or an event, if we can fit it in, we will. We've got a fun partnership event tomorrow with the library, Cocoa with the Cops. So we get to participate in story time with the kids. And then lastly, I just wanted to comment on, we heard from Sunrise tonight about maybe some activity over there. So I'm always going to say, if you have a problem and you feel like it could be a police issue, give us a call. Our dispatch does a good job of getting that information to us, and as we prioritize calls, we're going to send officers to that. So if we can't help with it, if it's getting animal control involved, but for sure a safety issue with dogs and stuff, we're going to come. So report to us so we know of the problem and we can address it. And I've already advised my staff that we need to be doing extra patrols down there.
That's Patty.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I was really glad that our neighbors on Sunrise brought this up, because I was on a run on Saturday and I got attacked like twice by different off-leash dogs. And so my thought on this is that this seems to be a continuous issue around town, especially in our parks where folks are just walking around, leaving their dogs off leash, and it's not being addressed. I'm wondering, is there any kind of preventative things that we could do as far as Why Wednesdays, bulletins, as far as leash laws in Marion County, things like that? Because I could go ahead and call it in every time this happens to Stayton Police when my dog gets nipped or I get nipped by a loose dog. But at the end of the day, people are very kind. They come and get the dog. But I think just a reminder to folks that they need to leash their dogs and they're responsible. I think that would be really helpful.
Mr. Mayor. Oh, go ahead, George.
I just wanted to comment that two people from the Citizens Academy have mentioned to me that they are really enjoying being on it and the information they're getting, and it was like two different instances as well. So it's going really well. They're not just giving you fluff. They're actually like,
well, very good. I appreciate that feedback. Yeah, it's created some really genuine and organic conversations, and we end often with opening to questions and comments. And if we don't have time, we have paper questions and we go through those. And they all had fun trying on the vest to see how much we actually wear when we're on duty. It's a lot between the boots and the vest and the belt and all that. It's usually another 25 pounds. So, but it's been great engagement for sure.
Chief, just two things. Congratulations on being a grandma. And the other is we were opening up for our food truck gathering on Sunday, and Officer Hagan came by before we opened. Very professional, engaged very well with some of the people from the community. So he's a good addition to our department.
Thank you. I appreciate hearing that.
Councilor Sims.
Chief, I just wanted to say, I'm a part of the Citizens Academy. I really appreciate the good job that you're doing. You and your team have obviously put a lot of work into it, put a lot of hours into that. So thank you very much. Bravo Zulu, which means good job in Navy speak. but you've done a really good job, and I know everybody's working really hard to put out a good product. So good job.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Chief.
All right. If there's any other questions for Chief, I've actually got two more things. So, and before I'm not going to put him on the spot. I'm not going to make him come up, but I see our planning intern, Riley Neese, is in the back. I'm sure he's here just observing public, but I just wanted to give him a shout out because we're very happy to have him. I think I've mentioned to you the work that he's helping Jennifer with. So that's wonderful. Good to see you here. Okay, two more things. We received a legislative bulletin from LOC about House Resolution 2289. It's regarding the American Broadband Deployment Act. And I've drafted a letter, but I think Brian would love to get your feedback and your blessing to sign it on the council's behalf. I certainly could sign it, or I know you guys have given him the authority to do things, but it's I think it might be a little bit more compelling if council as a whole has said, yes, we support this. So this essentially is federal legislation that could undermine our ability to charge permits to the amount that they actually cover what needs to be done and affect our ability to regulate what's in our right of way. Mayor, did you want to add anything to that, or?
Just briefly, Julia, I think we got heads up on this, that it was taking place a couple months back. And at that time, we were told to hold on and wait for it. And so it officially came out, as Julia said this morning. And essentially what it does in my opinion, is it removes our ability to regulate ourselves as a city again. Another knock to home rule, if you will. You all know the number of complaints that we had about when the cable was being transitioned between our current provider and the national one. That would basically take that ability for us to regulate that out of our hands. And so I have some concerns about that, and that's why I oppose it. So I asked Julia to review it and then share it with you all.
So I guess I'll let you guys let the mayor know if you have any concerns, and then he and I can get together and sign it and finalize it based on that tomorrow. And last but not least, I wanted council input on signs, election signs. We've gotten some suggestions to have some lawn signs or signage in front of the pool and or parks that talk about our park and pool levy in a very neutral manner. Melanie actually did some research and found that about 20 lawn signs would be about $300. I feel if we do something for our park and pool, we probably should at least do something for our charter as well, because then why are we picking one or the other? And one thought would be if we did that, maybe we just do something for here's the local levies that are on the ballot, including the Stayton Fire District levy. But I wanted to get your input because it's $300, and we could just leave it. There are signs and discussion going on in the community. People will get their voters pamphlet, or we could do something a little bit more just, vote. And that's all. It would really be vote. Here's the levy number, probably a QR code to our FAQ information on our website about those, but it would at least kind of be another opportunity to get in front of people. But I wanted to get some input from council before I do anything or don't do anything.
Do you know what the turnaround time is? Like if we said yes tonight? Okay. Okay, that would just be my concern, is that if it's going to be worth it we have enough time to do it.
Because we're still a month away from the election, so if we could get stuff out, in the next week, and just they'll be getting their voters pamphlets election, just kind of making sure that people remember to vote and that there are local things on the ballot.
How big are the signs? Are they lawn signs? We'd get 20 of each or 20 total?
We'd get 20. The thought is like we'd have one sign that's for all three measures. And so we'd have like a couple in each of the parks and in front of the pool. That was kind of the thought process.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Sims.
Yeah, I definitely like the idea. Actually, what my vision was, I think, for the long term would be a large community sign, maybe at the library or city hall or something, that showed like each levy, including the fire levy, including schools, levy for parks and pool. So we had all the levies that affect everybody in the community. I think I saw some designs for some other cities that looked pretty good for that. I think that would be great to have that would be for the future, short term, the lawn signs would be great.
Councilor Patty.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, and Julia, we've already talked about this over email, kind of my suggestions, and it sounds like they're similar to Councilor Sims. I think it makes most sense to have one of these signs, at the library where the ballot drop-off is, so they have the explanation of what these are, and that's where people are dropping off their ballots. That was my thought.
So we will have to be thoughtful and careful and make sure that we're enough away from the election box so that we're not impeding. Yeah.
Right.
So that we'll have to look at that and make sure that wherever they're placed is in compliance with that.
I think you also want to get them before they get to the ballot
Right.
box too, right?
Yeah, I guess if they're at the ballot box, they've probably already voted, right?
Oh, Julie, I'd have a question about placement. If you're going to place those signs in the right of way, and we don't allow other political signs in the right of way, then we have a problem.
I would envision them in the parks, and they're really notification signs.
So if candidate for office wanted to put their sign in the park, they could?
No.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, hang on,
consideration.
Mr. Mayor. Wouldn't these signs be objective explanation of these measures?
It's still a supporter of a position.
But it's not. It's going to be a neutral. It has to be neutral. It can't be vote yes.
I can see it being challenged. So
and that's honestly, that's my concern, is that there could be the perception that we're doing this. And it would have to be exceptionally neutral. And here's what's on the ballot, and here's where you can find additional information that's been vetted by our attorney from a neutral standpoint. And then it gets to, well, is that worth the cost if we're
I'll leave it up to council.
Sure. I'm good with it.
I'm yes.
I'm a yes.
Go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Julia.
It looks like Barry had something. I didn't know that he had an update as well. I thought that was it. Sorry.
Barry's going to take over for 2 seconds. I thought I was meant to actually give an update today, but I'm obviously not meant to. So I'm not going to. I'm just going to hand out a paper that basically gives a full list of all the projects that Public Works have got ongoing at the moment. I'll leave it to you guys. The first 4 pages are explaining what Jordan asked about last meeting about how our asset management program is working. And the rest of the pages are a list of the ongoing work and projects that Public Works have in hand. I'm more than welcome to, I welcome you guys to look through it and come and discuss them with me at any time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Barry. Council can look through that and ask away next meeting or outside of that. Anything else, Julia?
I think that's all I've got. I think you've heard from every one of my staff tonight.
Okay, opportunity for communication from mayor and council. I'll defer to council as I always do.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councilor Hayes.
Yep, finally I'll say something today.
Okay,
just some updates, from things. First and foremost, I guess the Lucas Ditch is such an issue, but at the Boulders, which is the little development right across from the Methodist Church, their culvert is finally about to go in. I have wonderful pictures of the old one pulled out that was completely collapsed. So just saying, they're moving forward with a new one on that. Liaison to the Historic Downtown State Association, which, that is the new name from Revitalize. Anyway, there were some current concerns, and it's already kind of gone through the smoking ordinance and storefronts and parks. They're not seeing it enforced well enough and such. I believe that has been referred to Kendra. Just, okay, just trying to give you guys up a little bit of stuff here. The Love and Oven is still looking for historical photos. I have referred that to the Santiam Historical Society Museum. They have been contacted, and they're just needing to check on the size of the photo they want and check their storage. And also talked to other members in regards to the photo and ask how much possible square footage is needed. So anyway, then I got a pleasant surprise when I found out that they needed a rock band in August, and I recommended one, and they did book them. They are. It'll be August 14th during the TGI Friday. They're called Blood on the Plow. No, they are not a metal band. That is, they're a John Cougar Mellencamp tribute band, and Blood on the Plow just happens to be a lyric from one of their songs. So that's how that works. That's all from me.
Thanks, Councilor Hayes. Councilor Patty?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of bring the council up to speed on some history as far as the smoking ordinance consideration goes. That's something that had been vetted pretty thoroughly before in past councils. And I just wanted to go ahead and say, at least from this individual councilor's perspective, it feels like the state government has a sufficient hold on regulation of this item and this issue. I don't know that without a huge public outpouring of support for reconsideration of that issue, I'd be interested in having those conversations again, because that took a lot of staff and council time, just speaking from years of experience.
Agreed. Anybody else? Councilor Sims.
I just want to advocate, please get out and vote for the next election. We do have the Parks and Pool levy on the May 19th election, and it is pretty important to make your point on how you want to vote on that, for or against, but just please get out and vote. I would like to advocate. And I will say the Parks and Rec Board, they've done a really good job advertising for the levy. So they've They've gotten signs out there. If people want signs, you can get them at the 505. And they have gotten the word out about, the implications of the levy and what the cost is. And there's a lot of information out there on social media. So I will say Parks and Rec Board, they've done a really good job on getting the information out.
Counselor Sims, if I can just clarify, I believe that is not the board, but board members, because as a board, they're not allowed to be advocating for or against either. But I know what you mean, but I just wanted to put that out there on the record.
I will correct myself. Yes, it is the board members, and there's council members that have gotten on board with that, but it is not the board that's doing it. You are correct.
Councilor Carey.
This is probably for Barry. I see a lot of locating going on at First. When can we expect something to happen?
What's going on?
Between Washington Street all the way down to Ace Hardware.
Yeah, I actually spoke with the county over the weekend. It sounds like they're doing core drilling for preparing to do the ADA ramps and construction. They're doing the design work first, which, since we're talking about this, I've already called Julia, and just my hope is that maybe you guys can collaborate and decide if there's any additional ramps that we can collaborate with the county for some kind of cost sharing agreement, if possible. Okay, cool. Thanks. I just want to bring it to your attention, Barry.
Anybody else? All right. If I appear a little crispy from the sun, which I do, it's because Saturday I attended a neighborhood meeting at the intersection of 15th and Burnett to have a discussion about the annexation pressures of the city. And we didn't talk about any one specific project because I can't. But in general terms, a lot of education about annexation, a lot of education about the charter and what was in our place in our charter and how that is no longer applicable because of Senate Bill 15, I always get this wrong, 73 from 2016. So a lot of discussion. I think those folks are invigorated. They were surprised about processes. They will be seeing you all in the future, I'm sure. But just trying to have an engagement with the community, and it was really beneficial, I think, in the long run. I ended up having a potluck there. They had food and beverages and whatnot. So I appreciate Officer Hagan was there, and so he hung out with me for a little bit and gave me protection. I don't need it, but he did. So that was fun. But just giving council an update because it is a heavy topic that I get a lot of feedback in the community about. So I think the engagement piece is going to be stepping up. And really, the concerns that they share are valid, and they want to make sure that they have a say in their voice in the direction of our community. So just a little update for you all there. And Julia, we didn't mention the design of this building on Thursday.
Well, I included a picture in your
I know
weekly
you did,
update,
but
but it wasn't a very good, it didn't show it very well. Yeah, the hospital, Salem Health and San Am Hospital did a meeting, State of the Region, and I have never seen this room look like that. It was amazing. They had, so our tables were back here, which you couldn't see because there was a huge screen, 2 ginormous TV screens, flowers everywhere, beautiful round tables everywhere. It looked like a garden party, and it was just absolutely thrilling to see that this room could look like that. And I'm really excited to see how great it can look when we have new floors. But it was really cool to see. For hopefully the pictures show you a little bit about what it looked like. But it was kind of one of those you almost had to be here.
It was very inviting. I think it showcased what this room could potentially be for those that have creativity and are willing to put the effort into it. So
and great. I did send pictures to our folks so that they can make sure that that's included in any advertisements that we do. So.
Yep. Yeah. So that's it for